Welcome back. This is the poet Is He Human with the philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 36. Good God. Fight for a meme. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in. And if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with us on our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
And Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master their finances, pursue dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. As always, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only and not financial advice.
Dunamis, what you got cooking over there?
Oh man, this is so great. I feel like this episode's going to be great. I've been having a great week. I do have to admit I've had some ups and downs, but I'm in love, man. I've met someone very special, and there's just life is just throwing blessings my way, and I can't complain. As much as the day to day, there's challenges, man. We all have challenges that we face every day, but I feel like God is giving me everything I need to face those challenges, and so I feel great, man. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. I'm in the same boat. I've been really just analyzing what's going on within a lot of metacognition, character building, and just there's a lot of great things happening. Like you said, man, I've got that high school reunion. The album's about to be dropping, y'all. We've got the music video Bleed Beautiful about to happen. So in hindsight 2020, I don't have complaints. It's just it's that day to day, like you mentioned, where you're gonna have those moments where you've got to pump your brakes a little bit, and you got to ask yourself what's up, and you got to hit that reset button, which is ironic that I say reset, with this episode, being the reset, ladies and gentlemen. And I actually love that transition. That was actually pretty smooth. Let me pat myself on the back real quick.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, so this episode specifically, y'all, this is the reset button. This is a time for us to just take a step and zoom out and look at everything and look at how far we've come. So for those of you who have been joining with us every week to listen to us go on about everything and anything, we really, 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 really appreciate you guys for all of your support. We really, we wouldn't be here without you guys. And, just the fact that we've been sharing this information and it's being received. That's the best part about all of this. And man, the bigger picture is something that, all in all, we want you guys to see, but understanding the bigger picture, you've got to see the pieces in between.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And what we've covered already up to this point, we had an interesting episode with episode 24 that was very much like this episode, where we took the time to sort of evaluate all the words that we had spoken up to that point. And there was a bit of a transition then as well, if you want to go back for reference. But and I think we started getting a little bit more practical at that point, and that's also maybe when I started getting a lot more serious about working out, and that's when I really started getting more serious about eating the right food and not compromising in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that now, man, I feel like I'm getting a lot more serious about my principles, what I believe in, what I'm willing to put up with. And, a lot of that, we probably have people that listen that are wondering what happened to our logos this last week, because we sort of changed stuff up, right?
Yeah. Do you want to dive into that one? Or, I mean, either way, I think we're both equipped with the info.
Go ahead, man. Talk about it.
Sure. So, what we wanted to do initially with this is we wanted to express ourselves in a way where let's say Rage Against the Machine, for lack of better words, and initially when we used the Trump meme as our first logo, and I don't want to speak too much on behalf of Dunamis, but Dunamis and I share similar sentiments as far as what we think with Trump. And I feel personally that, Trump has done some good things, but I also feel like Trump is very notorious for stirring up the waters and getting everybody on their surfboards. And as of lately, everybody's been getting on their surfboards. So I'm not 100%. I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out right now, just to be honest with you guys, because I'm not really liking just some of the narratives that have been out. And, we're peace, it's all about peace at the end of the day, peace and information. And I just felt like there were some better ways to go about things. But hey, being the president isn't easy. So, who's to say? And we can all say what we would do, but we don't really know what we would do as, being the president of the United States and having to not only work with the American people, but also be a part of the foreign relations as well. So there's just been, a lot of that stuff up in the air. But, with this fist, we wanted to show that separation because, Trump has expressed kind of like that counterculture. We're still fight at the end of the day. This is our brand. Our brand is not directly tied into what Trump's got going on. Trump's got a meme coin. Again, give you a little bit of a separation with that. We've got a lot coming here, and we felt like this was the perfect time to just hit again that reset button, rebrand, give it a different logo, and keep fighting, man. That's all it's about. The fight will always continue, and we're evolving. So all in all, to kind of wrap it up, we're evolving, and who knows, the logo might change. At episode 55, we don't know, but we have the liberty to do that. No pun intended, but it is the Liberty Project, baby. So yeah, that's all of that in a nutshell. And I'm not sure if Dunamis wants to piggyback off of that, or if you got some other sentiments you want to share.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head with all of it. And if I could just piggyback on it, I would say that this project has always been about the individual person's right and ability and waking people up. We've talked about the Rockefellers, we've talked about the elites. And Trump, when he was shot, that was an image of resistance to the elites. There was an image, a very strong, powerful meme, and that's really what we're talking about tonight. And that meme is resistance. We are the resistance. We think that fight represents the poor man's struggle, and that is speaking truth to power. And so if Trump is now power, the fight doesn't end. It doesn't stop because Trump is the president. And so that's why I think I'm not against Trump. What I think is that we have to be careful now with becoming complacent and satisfied. If you're a Republican and you voted for Trump, and now you can feel like you can just wash your hands and walk away, that is the problem that happens every single time Republicans get into power. Is they feel like, all right, I did my job, my party's in power, and everything's going to be all right. And the next thing you know, 4 more years rolls around, things shift, and it's different again, and then they're dissatisfied again, and then the other side is satisfied for a period of time. This entire political system has been structured this way for people that are not capable of thinking for themselves. And the educational system has been created to make people not capable of thinking for themselves. So the entire system folds in on itself and holds us down in every way. And when I say us, I'm not just talking about Black people. I'm not just talking about poor white people. I'm not talking about people of any race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, or anything like that. What I'm talking about is anyone who is not them is who they hate. So we have to resist in order to survive, and we have to wake each other up in order to survive. And this podcast is our platform. This is the best way that we know how in order to speak out the truth. Whatever happens to us happens to us, although we've kind of worked behind some weak pseudonyms. Everybody knows who we are, and there's but I say that to say the uncomfortable things. When we say that Israel may have compromised our president, when we say that the Epstein files need to come out one way or another, and it has nothing to do with the political thing. It has nothing to do with my love or hatred of Donald Trump. It has to do with the fact that the truth will set you free. And we want the truth. We want the corruption to stop. We want our children to be safe. And that's what we're here fighting for, is our kids. And no political party is going to change that. We think for ourselves, and we are determined to stay here to make sure that you think for yourself as well.
And I know, dude, it sounds like all conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's really not. It's not. Because the reality of it is, we have been taught to regurgitate information our entire lives and to highlight things in textbooks. And if we wanted to get quote unquote sound information, we were to go to the news. Okay. If there was just one central hub of news that was more objective versus having to jump to Fox or jumping to CNN or jumping to MSNBC or CNN, you know what I mean? So that's just not, it's not objective. It's not impartial. So just the fairness of this in its entirety, of just our thinking alone, it hasn't been fair. And that's what fight has been about from the beginning of time, from all of the topics that we've talked about. You know, one specifically that I think of all the time is food, because I mean, food is probably one of the most important things that, you know, we have, and the things that we've been putting in our body for years and years and years. It's been exposed that a lot of the things that have been in the food has not been healthy for us. And truth be told, and I'm sure Dunamis is right there with me, that affects your mind. It does. It affects you over time, how you think, how you move, how you process. So that's what this is all about, man. And I don't want to go on, you know, a 20-minute rant on, you know, anything of that of the sort, but just to, again, put emphasis on the individuality that we express week on week, is just, that's always been our aim, y'all. And what you do with the information is up to you, but that's, hey, that's the beauty of this.
Yeah, I mean, the central thesis, I think, of what we've talked about this entire time, to reset it and go back, is exactly that. You know, we understand and we believe that it's a fact. These are not conspiracy theories. It is a grand conspiracy, but you know, there's the American Heart Association received huge sums of money from seed oil companies, basically, to go and promote the health benefits of plant-based oils for heart health. And we know that as plant-based oils have been added to our diets over the last 100 years, all we've had is heart problems. There was not the first heart attack, I believe, wasn't even recorded until the 1900s. And
Wow.
so if you were to go back over all of human history and say humans did not die of heart attacks, humans, it's just a fact. Humans did not die of diabetes. They didn't die of cancer. They didn't die of any of the things that we're dying from today, because all of the things that people die from today come from the food that we eat. And the sooner that we can recognize that and fix it, the sooner we're all going to live a lot longer and a lot healthier, and our entire lives change. Like you said, if you're unhealthy from eating bad food, it affects you mentally, it affects you spiritually, you're weak physically. The elites want humans to work, to pay taxes, to enrich their luxurious lifestyle. They want us to reproduce in so much that there's not too many of us that would wake up and want to take our power back. But this, I probably sound like a lunatic when I say a lot of these things. I know that I do, but I've researched it well enough to know this is fact. It's not something that's my imaginings, and I'm not crazy, even though I thought I was crazy for a long time. So
I felt the same. I felt the same, man. And I felt that I couldn't express these things to people without there being just some type of, well, I'm going to eat my McDonald's until the day I die, or I'm going to eat my chicken nuggets until the day that I die. I wasn't really able to have open dialogue with people back then about this stuff. Even if they did disagree, it was just one of those hard no's. It was like when you go door to door and you're trying to sell cable, and yeah, they're like, no. That's kind of how the conversations would go. And that makes you feel crazy. It does make you feel crazy. And again, that's been the point of when you look at the elites, is they want you to sound crazy. They because it's like you what evidence do you have exactly to prove anything? Nothing at all. And you've been alive for this long and you haven't had any health issues. So what are you exactly talking about? There's all of those things, and these are the same things that get washed down onto us. And I'm just gonna say it for what it is, but we are the peons. Okay, there is no social class with us in our community, in that space. Okay, like, we're the peons and the elites are the monarchs. There's no bourgeois. There's no middle class when you look at it like that. We are the peons in comparison to them. We are the said vocal minority. I posted on social media today, and the elites are the said majority of this.
We're in a very perilous place as humans on this planet. I don't say as Americans, I don't say as any other nationality or race or anything like that. As humans on this planet, we are at a point in time in which we are on the cusp of losing all of our rights and individual freedoms. And I fear that only the people that are awake enough to retain their own individual liberties and freedoms will be able to retain them. That those people that aren't awake enough, that don't have the consciousness or the awareness to recognize what's happening, are like sheep walking into slaughter,
Mm.
And if nothing else, I've felt for a long time that it's been my job to scream and wave my arms for my family and for the people that I know. And this podcast is a part of me screaming and waving my arms to the world. I know that we don't have a huge audience. I think that the people that listen are very important. I think every single person that listens to this message that is preparing is a lion. If you're awake enough to listen through an hour of us talking about this stuff on a regular basis, then you're aware enough to take action for your family and the people around you, and to also start waking other people up.
Yeah, exactly, man. And all in all, just with the future of fight and where we're going with this, we want to continue to build a community engagement. So Dunamis and I have we've got some things in the works. As far as applications that we're working on. And heck, merch too. I look forward to you guys, wearing the fight hoodies and things like that. Like, we want to keep giving to our community for you guys being so dedicated and committed into listening to us, for that hour. It really does mean a lot. So as far as the future goes for fight, we don't plan on going anywhere. We plan on evolving. We just want to continue to create platforms where we can just build our community, bring us all together. And again, I don't want to give away too much information because we've got a lot of cool stuff going on right now. And I wish that I could share it, but at the same time, it's going to be more dope when it comes out. But we're expanding. We are expanding greatly. And God, I almost sound like Trump. We're doing a really good job. We're expanding. The numbers are looking really great.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's one of the biggest numbers I've ever seen before. We're going to have the best engagement. Yeah, we're going to make this podcast life great again.
I love it, man. And, as far as the merch and all that stuff goes too, we do have, I think, was it the Solidity? We do have some merch out there now, but there's
we do
within the Solidity website, I believe, right?
Yes.
So there will be more to come. One of the things that I want to say is that 2026 is probably going to be the year where we can afford to go and have a bigger presence at the Cardano events. So we haven't had a chance to be at Rare Evo. We haven't had a chance to be at Cardano Summit or anything like that. And I know those are even usually on the other side of the big pond. But,
yeah.
if we get a chance to make it to some of these events in the United States, I really would love to do that. In 2026, I'd even, it would be an ambitious goal, but I would love for us to even put on something of our own, maybe around the 4th of July. I think that'd be fantastic. And we'll just have to talk and see how something like that would work out. We do happen to have a rapper in the house who's pretty good. Is he human that could maybe perform for us? So
maybe. I would love to. That would be really, really cool. And gosh, I love that this is like our reset episode, man, because we can just kind of go off of like, so fight for community. And that's just, that's all, yeah, not always, but that's just been our big thing. That's, been our big thing, is just being active in our community and, putting a footprint into this. Because dude, I've got to give a special shout out to the community, to the Cardano people. A lot of the people that Dunamis and I have encountered, and Dunamis has been in this industry a little bit longer than I have, but just the relationships that we've established and the relationships that we're building, man. Like shout out to Drew Aces. He's one of the ones, bro. I gotta give him a shout out. One of the ones where, like, God, when you speak to certain people and like you hear them, and then like you guys have these conversations with each other, you're like, man, like, wow. You feel two things. You feel like the strings, the puppet strings are being cut, and then new seams are being attached. And that's what I love about our community, because there are a lot of golden people in our community that really do know how to pivot on a dime. So shout out to everybody that's been supportive. And you're probably going to hear me say that 1,000 more times, man. But truthfully, like, we really wouldn't be here without, the idea going into play and the support of our community, man. We've got a lot of people that just, hey, keep doing what you're doing. So this is for y'all. And, this is for us too, obviously.
Yeah, man. That Drew Aces, I feel like I haven't heard that name in a long time. I follow him on X, and I really, it makes me, I get very nostalgic for like the listening room,
Yeah.
and thinking about RC and Disguise and Juice and what that was all like back in 2021 and 2022. It's everybody grows and everybody changes, and wishing that you could go back to the past is that's just depression. That's not a good thing. We always need to be looking forward and ahead. And man, I'm just excited to see what Cardano has in the rest of 2025 and 2026, because there's been, I've heard enough negativity, and I know the tech is so good. And I know that there are so many people in the Cardano community that are great. I also think of Jenny Britt and Jeff from Friend, and everyone that we met on that weekend. And again, the people from the listening room, and Jimmy from Six City, and Shaggy, Shaggy Racks. I just really, I feel like there's so many good people, and a lot of people get misunderstood. There's we all are passionate about what we do, and I think that community is the most important thing, is the people around us that that we have relationships with, and that we can mutually share in this experience. I think that this is fantastic. I agree, this is a great episode, and man, this is going to be really, really fun to see what the next couple of years, I think, play out for us.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Shaggy Racks, and I wanted to highlight Shaggy a little bit here. I don't want to go on too long and put him in the spotlight, make his head bigger. But Shaggy was one of the first people that I got introduced to by my buddy Seth Too Saucy. Follow him on X. Seth Too Saucy and I met up in the wintertime, and he told me about the Memphis team, and he was telling me about a group of guys that were musicians but were also involved in crypto, and he could introduce me to these people. And I remember sitting down talking with Shaggy. I was talking with Hakeem and a few of the other guys, but mainly Shaggy, and just expressing his moves and what is just his overall outlook was. And he's one of the first people that got me involved in this, and since then we became business partners. We are now co-owners of the Finest LLC and Solidity Records. So, when you were talking about people being a bit misunderstood, and maybe that's an understatement. If Shaggy heard me say a bit, he'd probably be like, "A bit, huh?" Uh, um,
Yeah.
but Shaggy has definitely expressed himself a lot in the Cardano community, and it's gotten a lot of different types of feedback. And if there's somebody that I can definitely stand behind for sure, without one foot in, one foot out, it would definitely be him. He's definitely wise beyond his years, and he's been able to see a lot of things happen before things have happened. And again, I don't want to put my man on a pedestal or anything like that, nor is it something that I feel like he would want me to do. But I just wanted to take this moment to highlight Shaggy Rax and the Cardano community for being as transparent as he's been, and not being afraid to quote unquote die on the hill. And ironically enough, he hasn't died on one hill yet. So we're doing great things, man. And we've got people out there that see things for what they are and aren't afraid to speak. And we need more people that aren't afraid to speak. That's the whole point of this, to really paint individualism.
Yeah. What I respect the most about Shaggy Rax is the fact that he'll speak his mind, and without fear. And from my perspective, that's a really rare thing. It took me a long time to get to that point myself, and it's so easy for us to go along with other ideas. We say something, we feel like it's right, but then it doesn't quite fit the narrative. And we talked about the news, whether it's MSNBC or Fox or ABC or whatever it is. We can't let them tell us what the truth is. It especially if you get locked into one, maybe you think, okay, if I just watch Fox News, they tell me the truth, so I'll just watch them. No, I'm sorry. This is all government funded propaganda. That's all it is. You're watching government news feed. I mean, it might as well be the 1930s. We're all watching propaganda. And that's what it is. And so the difficult thing for me is, well, then, and we touched on this just earlier, but we're going to do this in cycles, guys. And how do you understand what the truth is? How do you do your research? How should you find these things out? I used to use just a multitude of sources. And we talked in a previous episode about how that, I think you said specifically, Izzy, when you do all your research, that's when it confuses you too, because you have all these different truths that you're trying to figure out. And so I think that I've been a little bit more strategic with it in the last year or two, where I find independent sources that I think are at least somewhat unbiased. And then if I'm going to listen to a source that is very leaning one way or the other, I listen to it through that lens. So if you can listen to Trump, understanding that he's Trump and he's looking out for Trump, then absolutely listen to everything Trump says. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're listening to, the other side, and I'll just say there's a lot that I'll probably say negative about the Democratic Party, and there's a lot that I'm thinking negative about the Democratic Party. But
speaking of politics, this is not only our U.S. politics. This goes for our Cardano governance as well, man. We've got a D-Rep in our group, Mr. E, pseudoscientist. Maybe some of you know him as that, but he's been a D-Rep, several months now. And just the conversations that he'll bring back to us just about things that are going on, and just where the separation and where the loss of language is coming into play. I mean, this applies into this as well. And me, I'm always the person that speaks on finding the common denominator with this stuff, because if we find the common denominator, we will find common ground by default. So I feel like we've got a lot of people, both U.S. politics and even in Cardano governance, that just want to express and prove points. And we went more off of just like what people need versus that person in that position just wanting to get a point across just to try something. Like, now is not the time to be experimenting with people. It's really not. You know, we need solidarity in all governance aspects, because it's the governance in all aspects of that has caused all of this confusion in the first place. We need clarity, no pun intended. We need clarity on, you know, what we're fighting for.
Yeah. What, during when they had that constitutional workshop that we went to,
Yeah.
one of the things that I remember is the discussion on consent. Really governance is all about the consent of the governed. I do think that they tried, at least Intersect tried to go through the right process when they had us ask us questions, and they would have us think about things individually and then talk in pairs and then talk in fours and then talk as a group. All of that, I think, was very interesting. It was very much designed to bring us to a unified idea of what we were looking for. Now, that said, I don't know that the end result necessarily, I don't know. I haven't followed too much. I know the Constitution thing happened in Argentina. I've been more focused on really a lot of my own stuff recently to really follow a lot of what's been going on in the Cardano community as closely as I used to. And I say that saying that I wish I understood more of it. And I probably need to watch some YouTube videos and see Charles and what's going on. But I do think that it's great to be able to reach out to people like Pseudoscientist, Mr. E, and reach out to Shaggy Rags and see what they think about a lot of these things, because I know they've been following it. And I also think it's important for us to give someone like Charles Hoskinson the benefit of the doubt, because, he works really hard. I think that, I don't know what any and all controversy comes up around him, but I know that as an individual, his heart at least seems to be in the right place every time I hear him speak. If it weren't for him, we definitely wouldn't have Cardano, and we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have in this community. And so, kind of hoping that that things go very well for him and things go well for Cardano, and just looking forward to the next few years, I think.
Yeah, and I will say this, because I might be a little bit more crass here, in the sense of, yes, you're right. Quite literally, if Charles Hoskinson wasn't here, we wouldn't have Cardano. Literally wouldn't have it. What I've noticed just in governance and speaking with Mr. E and just some of the other people that have been following governance a little bit more than I have, is we're in a space of what I've gathered as insanity. And it's just back into this whole trying to get points across. And again, it's not about getting points across. It's about, and because right now we're in a space of compromise and negotiation. So take those words by their definition and let's work towards that. And I just feel like, just for, even being there, at the committee when we were in Texas, I kind of noticed that a little bit too. Just, we've got a lot of bright individuals, we've got a lot of bright people, and I will go ahead and just say that right off the rip, because just the reality of it is, if you either know about this stuff or you don't, right? So I feel like people that do know about this stuff have some knowledge, right? Just knowledge in general to even take it this far. So with that being said, we have such bright-minded individuals that I feel like some things have just gotten dragged out for way too long. And I feel like we could have found some solutions, but
yeah.
And I don't want to keep dragging this out either, man. I just I love our community all in all, but I feel like we're too smart to be playing this insanity game sometimes. Checks and balances of that. But Dunamis, what else, man? Because I feel like there's just so much to talk about and so little time. What I would like to do moving forward, I would love to, we're definitely going to have some more guest features on here for sure. And I hope Shaggy Rax is one of them. I hope that Mr. E is one of them. I want to get more people involved in these podcasts, just to express their own sentiments too, because I love having those conversations. Fight for Strength, that was a really good conversation.
Oh yeah, having Crypto Meditator on here was really an honor, and I know that he still listens to the show from time to time at least, and definitely shout out. He's he's been a super inspiration for me personally. You know, that's doing sets of I'm not doing squats, but I do 20 push-ups, sit-ups, and light curls per set, and I try and do that 5 times a day. And that's of course because he was doing 100 a day, and man, it has changed my life. There's things that we do on this podcast, and I completely agree. We need to get some more special guests on here. I definitely would love to have Shaggy Rax on here. I'd love to have Mr. E on here. I'd love to have more people from the Cardano community, as well as people that are familiar with some of the other subjects that we want to talk about: homesteading, producing your own food, how to handle finances better. And this is I like to keep things simple. If you could make more money than you spend, then you're winning, right?
Right. Facts. I mean, and I think that there's definitely a truism in that for sure. And what Dunamis is speaking on, we want to, right now I would say this is more of, again, like that reintroduction, our esotericism, that type of deal. But, going into more of our practical episodes, we want to be able to give you guys the proper insight and, a proper basis to go off of, moving forward. Again, none of this stuff is anything that you have to take, but, it's just, we're going to give you this information. We want to come correct in how we, give you the information. So that way, if it is received, then you receive proper guidance, So yeah, and there's so many people in this community that I know that are well versed in so many different things. And even at episode 36, we are barely scratching the surface of what's to come.
We are just getting started, brother. And the I even think that, just like you're saying, I think that it makes sense for us to talk about opposing views too. So I've been trying to go, and I've been probably leaning more towards a carnivore diet more recently in terms of what I'm trying to do to eat to be healthy. That said, I think it would make a lot of sense for us to have somebody who even is a vegan, who's understood how to live and eat healthy as a vegan on the program, because my point of view is not the only point of view. I don't have all the answers, and neither do you, Izzy. And I think that's fantastic, because we can talk to lots of other people.
Right. I love being around people that are smarter than me. That's the best thing in the world. When you start to feel that you know everything, that's when you stop learning. So to be around people, and just shout out to the team. I love the fact that we have a team of people that we can all operate as a brain, and we're all different parts of the brain. So when one of us performs a task, it then transcends into this, into that. And it's like, I love to see how all of us operate as a brain. It's really the coolest thing. It's some nerd stuff, but hey, nerd with all the highest respects, for sure, man.
Yeah. And it's funny, because that also reminds me of, and we can just hit all the controversial topics, because that's what we're going to do with this podcast as well. And, when we talk about things like diversity, we talk about diversity being our strength. I agree with that 100%. 333 right now, just by the way. But
let's go.
Diversity is our strength. The problem is DEI. When we talk about DEI, the problem is when we talk about things like quotas and trying to force diversity into places where diversity doesn't necessarily make sense. It does not make sense to have as many women as you have men working on an oil rig. It just doesn't. So use common sense in those areas. But if you just allow nature to naturally unfold the way that it's meant to unfold, you will find diversity in all of the places where diversity is allowed to flourish. Diversity will become the strongest.
Yes, indeed. And I share similar sentiments with that, because with that, with the DEI, it's I don't like handouts. And I know that again is going to be a controversial take, but that's what I felt like this was put in place for, to again, increase diversity in the working field. But what that doesn't mean is you're increasing the quality of people within the work field. You're just trying to hit that said quota. And in any working space, it's about finding the most qualified people. Now, can I understand there being maybe a bit of a polarizing lens, in the sense of like maybe not expanding where to find quality people and just looking at it one way? It's kind of like going to Harvard, for example.
Mhm.
And even Trump expressed that too, of like, I want to look at your enrollment process, and how that goes. Where I look at Harvard, unfortunately, guys, I mean, again, controversial take, as a bunch of families that have gone to Harvard for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you've got a bunch of people that have invested a bunch of money. So some people get that kind of sure in kind of deal, and it's like that. They're not really looking. They're just looking at like, oh, this person donated $5 million. You know what I mean? And their son is semi okay. He might not be the best lawyer, but at least he'll be a lawyer. Kind of deal. And so that's where I feel like I don't like, I don't like those handicaps. I don't like that. I don't like that handout. The most qualified people should be in those positions, but we've got to take off that polarizing lens too, and just see that, quality of people is not always right in front of you. Like, you have to do your due diligence, just like what we were talking about earlier. The information is not just in Fox and CNN or MSNBC. Like, you have to do your own research. So I think that there needs to be a bigger level of accountability, which you were mentioning, earlier. If we just let nature, unfold itself, we'll be able to see diversity for what it is. And we're forcing a lot of things, and we're putting a lot of these laws in place. And again, it's just creating more division. It's creating more diversity. And it's just creating more redundant narratives that we really don't need, when the common denominator is equality, as cliche as that is. But the most cliche things that I've learned in life are the biggest truisms that we can embrace.
I 100% agree with you, and I love the fact that you called out the flip side of it, because DEI is the liberal response to nepotism. And I had to look up the word again, just because, it is, the good old boys club. The idea that like your daddy donated, your daddy was here, so you get to be here. That whole idea needs to go away too. That, the United States at its best is a meritocracy. And that's what Martin Luther King Jr. preached.
Mm,
Martin Luther King Jr. said that we shouldn't be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character.
facts.
Every single person is an individual, and every single person should be judged not based on their daddy or their mommy or where they came from or the color of their skin or who they like to sleep with. In fact, that shit needs to be private, by the way.
Yeah.
So if I've said a lot of controversial things, but I'd like to think that I'm a principled person, and
I agree with that.
I love you, Izzy. I think that you're a fantastic, wonderful person, and you should love yourself. And I think I should love myself for who I am too. And I think that the world needs to start understanding the problems that come with ego. There's a lot of problems that come with ego that we need to get past, but that's going to all take time. And in the short term, maybe it makes sense to take care of yourself, take care of your family. Maybe it makes sense to be a little tribal, but in the long run, man, we're all one. We're all the same. There's one tribe, and we all need to take care of humans.
Yeah. We're all a part of this human race at the end of the day. It's not a Caucasian human race. It's not people of color race. It's none of that at all. We all bleed at the same, bleed red at the end of the day, unless you're an alien, which sometimes I claim to be. But I'm really a human.
Is he?
Is he? I don't know. See, love it, love it. But it just all of that, man. And I was actually talking with Mr. E about ego and just taming that ego, because the ego will never go away. The ego will always be there, but it's the battle that you have in your mind. It's the questions that you have within, that's, the ego itself. And again, just getting back to the simplicity of what any of this really means. I made a kind of a morbid Snapchat today that said, "Hey, newsflash, life isn't serious and we all die." And I know that that sounds like, oh my gosh, but like it's the truth. And we go so far just to get to a no outlet sometimes. And then when it's done, it's done. It's like, so what are we doing? So really, what are we doing? Getting back into loving yourself and knowing who you are, because the better person you are, the better the better people you're going to attract. There are going to be people that are better that you're going to attract, is what I'm trying to say. The more that you love yourself, the more you're going to encounter people that love themselves as well. And then when you have a community of people that love themselves first, and then in return can genuinely love other people, that's when we really start to make these changes. That's when we really start to see that momentum build and go and really give longevity. Another thing, shout out to Mr. E again. This is an endurance test, y'all. This is nothing more than that.
We don't fail. We don't fail unless we quit before we die. Jesus said, "Those who endure to the end shall be saved." What is the end? Well, if you die before the tribulation, then it's when you die. And so if you just keep going and you don't quit until you die, Jesus says there's good things for you. And the life part of it is the difficult part. We're living in suffering right now 100% of the time. There's moments and glimpses of happiness and glory, but they're just glimpses. And the great beauty of this life is recognizing the hockey stick, the fact that we're in this little short blip of our life on this planet, and then the rest of it is eternity. And that's going to go forever. And it's glory if we can just learn the lessons that we need to learn in this little short part of the hockey stick at the bottom,
Right. Big. It's all big, man. We sound like broken records, I know. But it's our truisms, man. It's our truisms. So again, shout out to all of you guys, and shout out to all of the guest speakers that we've had on there, sharing their stories. And
Corey Drums, man, that was our first guest speaker was Corey Drums. And I just have to again say that we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing right now in the same way if we didn't have guest speakers that responded back in such a positive way. When we asked, "Hey, can you be on the show with us?" I haven't really run into much negativity. We've met, really, really wonderful people that believe in the message, believe in what we're doing. And Corey Drums, ATM Radio, and what they have going on there, man, it's a family business, and we really believe in them as well. And just shout out to Corey Drums, shout out to Jenny Britt, and everyone that's been a guest speaker. And that was early on, but man, we're so blessed, Izzy.
We really are, man. We really are. Corey Drums has just been very, adamant in his movement and for independent artists, and just seeing his family and seeing the people around him succeed. And that, I feel like that in itself should just be that blueprint to start with that, especially, from a music standpoint. That's, like music in the Cardano space right now has been a little weak. I will say that. I feel like we've got a lot of the same artists in the Cardano space. And, I guess to kind of go back into the diversity aspect of that, I feel like we've got to reach out a little bit more. I feel like we've got to diversify like genres and, just have something for everybody to listen to. And, shout out to Crime Fighter, shout out to Hakeem Harmony, shout out to DJ Def Lord. Shout out to RC. Shout out to Cavelli, the Punisher White, Cavelli L, the Punisher White. Myself. But we've got it. And Six City is another one too. Shout out to Jimmy. So it's there. And I just think that, we can do so much more with these artists and these metaverses and these get-togethers at like Rare Evo and having, these live concerts and whatnot. And, that's one of the biggest reasons why I got involved into the Cardano community, was less about governance at that time. And it was more about the exposure to a new audience of people from this music that I've been making for so long. And I got to see the fruits of that labor, and I just want to see that expand. I want to see artists have the opportunities that maybe they felt like they didn't have, or felt like they had been searching so long for in the Web2 space, that we've got a community of people that do show that support. So I want to keep bringing people in. I want to keep having that funnel. And I want to expand, man. I want to expand. I want us to all be successful off of the things that we dreamed of as kids.
Yeah, man. You brought me right back to the whole reason that we founded the Liberty Project, and that it was music way back then. That was what we did. It was in 2022 with Six City, the vision. And if there's just a hint of that vision, what I think was exciting was, I haven't been following stuff all that closely, but in my X timeline, I came across the fact that Pavia had been bought out, and they may still have a metaverse coming. Cornucopias probably still has a metaverse coming. I don't know. I haven't followed, but the Liberty Project still owns an estate in Pavia. And we still own a full-on custom, a copious size custom dome in Cornucopias. And the vision was always early on for us to build concert-sized stadiums and metaverses and sell tickets and have artists go and play and have music. And so that all feels like a moonshot now, but at the same time, yeah, we're still holding some land, and there's a lot of potential, and we don't know what comes in the future, but I'm not quitting. Izzy Human, you're not quitting.
Oh yeah. And and that brought me back into, speaking of just people here, Demu was one that I found out here not too long ago, that they're, kind of closing their operations down. And that was kind of a tough one to hear, just because like I hate hearing people in our community that are kind of like packing it up a little bit, just because I do feel like there was an impact that they made, and it just felt like it wasn't expanded, as much as it could have been. So, I do want to, share just sentiments in that regard. Shout out to Demu and the people in that community. Really sad to see you guys go. But I hope that, just in our space, you know what I mean? Maybe not in the space of like necessarily representing them, but just, us and our longevity in this. We never get to a space where we have to evaluate that, and again, that's not a dig or anything like that, but I just don't feel that way. And I feel like our core audience doesn't feel that way either. So, I'm very committed to episode 1000, I'm committed to episode 2000. And again, it's just, it's going to evolve. Eventually, you're going to see Dunamis and I together with video, and we're going to be sitting in a lounge, and we're going to be smoking Cuban cigars and drinking good scotch. And you're going to see us, and yeah, that's where we're taking this.
Amen. That's because this entire project, man, is about embracing the struggle. The struggle is, there's a reason why we're never going to give up, guys. It's in the meme. The meme, the entire meme is to fight. Our entire tagline is never give up the fight. And as somebody who, I haven't talked about it quite as openly as I will in the future, but as somebody who struggles with depression on a regular basis, that is also a big part of what we're doing here. This podcast has kept me going. And never give up the fight is something that I tell myself every day. And God bless you, Izzy. Thank you so much. It's
God
been a
bless
great
you. God bless you, man. You are an incredible, like, human being in general, and I couldn't think of anybody else to do this with. And you've definitely, you've helped me out a lot too. And I battle with similar things, man. Like, these past couple days haven't been the lightest, but just that thought in my head of just never giving up the fight, going out and doing these workouts, and telling myself, it's one more set. We're not leaving this, we're not leaving this field until we do our full circuit. Just all of this, like, tying into everyday life and just not giving up has it's definitely shaped me for the better. And I mean, even us recording, and just like getting here, it's definitely like reshaped my mood. You know what I mean? Like, it's the reset. Like, all of the other stuff that happened throughout the week, or the things that I was feeling, it just goes right back into that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Those are moments. Those are moments. Those aren't the week. That's not the week. That's not the month. That's not the year. That's just a moment. And just to be able to embrace that and put it in that filing cabinet, store it away, and call it a day, and move the positive way. Bars. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you more than you know, brother.
And I can't wait to do this again next week. This has been such a great time. And I don't know what we're going to talk about. It will be more practical, but this was a great reset episode. I think people got a chance to hear our heart. They got a chance to hear what we're really here and about. And thank you so much, Izzy, for doing this. I can't wait to do it next week.
Yes, sir. Same. And if you guys made it this far,
well,
go ahead and what?
It's a meme, so let's put a dog emoji down there in the comments. I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, throw a dog in there.
Oof. All right. Yeah. Never give up the fight, Izzy.
Never give up the fight, Dunamis.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place. I wanna be first, work till it hurts. Dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts. Never waste time, you got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off, what do you like? Make a dream job, no 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can